episode 4 now, isn't it, mate?
Yeah, mate.
Yeah, that's going well.
Trucking along.
That's it, yeah. How are you getting on this week, mate?
Yeah, feeling good, man. Moving along with the close to surgery. So yeah,
That's good.
feeling good about that, man. How are you doing?
Yeah, good. Like I was saying before, Monday I felt flat as fuck, to be fair, after competition day. But it's always like drains me, like emotionally and mentally. So Monday felt like a long ass day, to be fair. But other than that, mate, yeah, no, fucking good. Really happy with how everyone performed on the weekend. Like,
Yeah, it was awesome.
win or lose, everyone fucking put on a performance and like showed the improvements and the working on the gym. Like, and like even like down to one of the lads took his opponent down, passed his guard numerous times, and just got caught just because of the way that he was playing.
Yeah.
And it's like, I'm happy with those performances. Like, you're going out there and you're fucking pushing for a win.
I thought it was a really like tough collective.
Yeah.
Like group of performances.
Yeah.
I think it stood out like what style of club that it is now.
Yeah.
Not that it was any different before, but there was no like giving up easy.
No.
Like, every match was like a tough match, even if the ones that lost, the people that won had to work for it.
Yeah. No, yeah, couldn't be happy with the performances. Yeah, no, mate, everything's going good this week so far. Yeah, we spoke before this sort of episode, with mental health. Let me start again with that. Okay, so mental health awareness, or Men's Mental Health Awareness Month this month, and we sort of spoke about getting a bit more personal on like the next episode. So I think we sort of tie those themes in a little bit today, didn't we? And maybe go back into the start of our sort of grappling journey and maybe talk about like the mental health aspects that we've maybe benefited from, and even we'll touch on the like negative side of things as well. So we'll have to revisit that quote you told me before from Ido Portal. Really fucking good quote. We'll come back to that later. We'll get started with yourself, mate.
I think we first start by saying like we're not doctors and we're not we're not health professionals. This is our anecdotal evidence, so don't listen to us, we're idiots.
No. This is just our experiences and kind of observations in it and anecdotal evidence.
Yeah, just our own opinions, and if you can take some positives from it, then but don't shoot at us if we say something wrong.
Because we're probably going to say a lot of fucking wrong things.
So if you want to start, do you want me to start, mate?
Yeah, you can start, mate,
Yeah, I think, I found it difficult to get going because, when I very first started getting into grappling, I was in a rough place myself, like with suicidal thoughts and those types of things. Just to dive into that, besides the grappling, those things came along, back at a time, we're talking like 7-8 years ago now when I started grappling. So in that time, I didn't really hear about suicide or hear about anxiety too much or hear about talking to men too much, in my opinion. Maybe they did, but it wasn't something in my circles. It was only when those thoughts started to arise did I know something was off, which I seek therapy for. And funnily enough, when I was going through the therapy process, I started jiu-jitsu, and I think it was a perfect kind of mix of, not that jiu-jitsu saved my life, it definitely didn't, but having a community and being part of like a tribe as a man was really good for me.
Would you say sort of having that, because like you say, you left rugby and these like unfortunate thoughts started to like arise up. One thing that I'm like a big believer of is like having like a goal or something to work towards. Would you say something like that maybe tied in towards it? Like,
I'm not too sure for me, because I've always had goals, even if they're outside of sport, always had personal goals. But I don't think it was too much. It was more. So what was your question again, mate?
So like, was it like maybe losing something that you were working towards and like your purpose, and then almost kind of like refinding or trying to redefine your purpose or like what you were working towards?
Yeah, I think that definitely when I left rugby for sure, I lost that kind of community among men for sure, and that friendship circle, which massively helped starting jiu-jitsu. You know, high fiving each other, hugging after class, having that connection with other men was massive and massively helped the mental health. But I think the therapy and also disconnecting from jiu-jitsu, it wasn't just like, oh, I'm throwing myself into jiu-jitsu and that's my therapy, because as we'll touch on in a bit, it doesn't work in our opinion of just doing a sport to fix your mental health. It was the therapy alongside the kind of community aspect of jiu-jitsu that helped a lot.
Yeah. Not fair. And like I say, having the extra connections there, the community, and like I say, even like the physical contact, like like a lot of people kind of shy away a little bit on from physical contacts, whether it's just shaking a hand or like hugging your mate or something, and you kind of inadvertently getting it when you're grappling. As it's different, obviously, than like embracing your friend, but it's still like some physical contact and some sort of physicality there where you're working towards something, but also you've got that kind of connection with another human.
Yeah, and I think what was huge for me personally starting grappling when I was at probably my lowest point in my life was just getting that acceptance, which happened just by accident, of just being in a room with a bunch of strangers and nobody knows like who you are as a person, and it doesn't actually matter who you are as a person, because there's certain rule set inside that room that you can all adhere to, and you can all get the benefits from that rule set like at your own pace. And that was probably something that made me think, oh, I don't have to be loud, or I don't have to be something that I'm not, which probably made me feel low in the first place. Kind of work in certain jobs or certain areas that I was kind of putting on a persona by accident, or being a character, as they say.
I remember you sort of saying, you talk about like your rugby career, where it's like fighting to kind of be the loudest in the room and be the one that's most heard.
Yeah.
And like, it's not something that I've personally found within sort of grappling gyms in general. Obviously, you can have the loud people, you can have the quieter people, but no one's like fighting for attention. It's kind of just there to be themselves, and you're, I say, fitting in just by being there, because everyone's working towards like a common goal, and it's there to sort of help each other improve. And one thing I found with that is like having that there and working together towards these common goals, like you kind of create that bond of friendship or some sort of relationship with the people that you're working with, where you're kind of going, oh shit, I can just be me. I don't have to put a front on. I don't have to put like this mask on or this like face on to kind of try and be someone I'm not. I can just come in, like I say, I'm having a long day. I can just sit there, be quiet, collect your thoughts, train, and then chat to whoever. Or if you're having a fucking good day, you can come in, buzzy, fucking laughing around, chatting with everybody, and everyone sort of just feeds and takes you as you are on that day. As opposed to kind of trying to G you up or like trying to get you to be someone that you're not.
Yeah, and I think saying less and sometimes people not saying certain things can be really good. Like just like when you're not texting someone, that can be a response. Sometimes a good response. When you're in a room, sometimes certain people like to be left alone. I'm one of them guys. Like I just go and sit in the corner, and that's just who I am. Some people think that's weird, or he's a little bit quiet. What's he quiet for? But that's just me. You know? And that was one of the things that I liked about jiu-jitsu, which is something I've not had in workplaces before. So that was really good for me in the beginning.
Oh, fair, mate. Is there any sort of other things that sort of further down the line that you sort of notice where you got like maybe more benefits from as you kind of got more integrated with the sport?
Yeah, I'd definitely say working towards certain types of goals, personal goals in grappling. I think what's really, really good with grappling is you can have your own individual goals inside of a team,
Mm.
like inside of a team environment. Whereas if you're playing rugby or football or something, you kind of win as a team, and obviously you're working together as a team. I thought from the very beginning, like in terms of mindset point of view, why am I doing jiu-jitsu? Like, why am I grappling? Like, instead of like, oh, I want to get my blue belt, I want to get my purple belt. And for me, it was to change my life. It was just make my life better, to turn up to class and put a positive spin on my life, forget about my problems for 2 hours that I had at that time, but always then keep that in my mindset. When I got the blue belt, don't be like, oh, let's try and win this competition, because when that competition goes, you're only going to feel that emptiness again, and then you kind of back to square one. That's where I felt. So I was like, okay, just focus on the day to day. There's my schedule. This is helping change my life in a positive way.
No.
Yeah.
Something quite powerful said there as well is like forgetting about your problems of the day or that time, like for 2 hours when you're in. I think that's a very understated and kind of I'm trying to think of the word, but it's like it's not. I can't think.
Not spoken about enough.
That's the one.
Not valued enough.
Yeah, it's something that like if you are present in here, you're going to take much more away from the session, but also mentally you're going to come out of it kind of much more revived. And it is kind of hard to think about the shit you've got going on when you've got someone attacking you and trying to rip your limbs off or strangle you, and you're trying to do the same, because if your concentration lapses, that's your timing gone, and you're going to might end up in a bad spot. And I think it's very beneficial to kind of have a space or be able to do that where you can actually have that sort of clarity of mind and freedom from the thoughts.
And that's what becomes really addictive, isn't it?
Yeah.
When you figure that out, that you just present and you forget about your problems for a couple of hours, and you get like a euphoric feeling after the session, and you want to do it again and again and again.
Yeah. And then you get good by accident by just turning up.
Yeah. And I think it's very underrated. A lot of people that train in gyms that have never tried submission grappling, they won't know what we're talking about.
No.
When you go to the gym, even though you might think, oh, it's like a form of meditation and I'm lifting weights and I'm in the zone, you definitely are, but you can still think about your problems and things like work, or check your emails in between sets.
That's it. Like, you might be present and in the moment for the 15 to 30 seconds that you're doing your working set at, but then when the weight's down, your mind then goes back to what you were thinking about beforehand, whether it's like say checking your emails, checking your messages, or even fucking changing your playlist and just sort of getting distracted again, rather than being present in that moment. Like I do it all the time when I'm lifting weights.
Yeah, but I think in the first couple of years, I don't think like jiu-jitsu solely helped the mental health. It was the crossover of the therapy.
Yeah.
Doing a lot of inner work on myself, and then the crossing over with the jiu-jitsu as well, doing them two things together.
No, fair. I think it's a very good approach to look at it that way as well. Like, cause some people will say that they use, like I've been guilty of saying this in the past, where they'll use their sport as therapy, and sometimes they're just using it to escape, and they're not actually going through the steps to deal with and process everything that they've got going on that's maybe causing these kind of mental health issues that they're having, whether it's like anxiety or extra stress or any other things that are going on with them. Use it as an escape rather than a tool to help them process everything.
Yeah, and I'm not afraid to say either that I've got a therapy. If you're listening and you think it's soft, try therapy.
Yeah.
You'll see that therapy is for savages. It's easy to shout from the sidelines, oh, you're fucking soft, you got therapy, and like you're weak and all this stuff. But going seeing a therapist takes balls, man, and owning up to the shit that the world doesn't see, that you're hiding behind the mask. Shedding that mask and doing the inner work is going to make you a better person in the real world. So if someone's listening, they are struggling, go and seek professional help and speak to a therapist about what's going on in your mind, and get the necessary help.
And even like, say, therapy's not easy access to them at the moment, like cost wise, or like I know myself trying to get a therapist through the NHS at the moment, and I think it ended up being like a 12-week wait.
Yeah.
And it's like, but there are other.
Have you ever tried private?
Because I was on the waiting list, and I kind of wanted to go through the process because I've not done therapy before. I wanted to kind of go through the NHS process first, sort of see,
test it.
Yeah, basically test the waters.
Yeah.
Because, like I say, it's an intimidating thing to go through.
Yeah.
What kind of.
I've got a funny story about NHS. We'll talk about that in a minute.
But yeah, like, I like to see how things work before I kind of fully dive into them sometimes. And going through sort of like the waiting list process and finally getting like I've got my appointments sorted now, so like I'm going to be speaking to a therapist about this. But yeah, it was sort of the initial cost outlay at first. I was a bit like, right, I want to see if this is for me before I make this investment, because if I want to do it, I'm going to do it for a long period.
It's between like 60 and 100, isn't it? Something around that, yeah.
And finding the right therapist as well can be difficult. So this is like, for me as well, part of me going to this therapist that I'm seeing at the moment is kind of going, can I figure out if this is the right person for me? And then maybe ask their advice for me going forward on what kind of therapist I can go for.
Yeah.
But like, if the access is out of someone's reach, there are other groups out there. Like you've got like Andy's Mind Club, which is free access, which I've not attended one of the groups, but from what I've heard, very, very helpful for people who are struggling in like with mental health. And I've been to a group called Mandan Meetup as well, and that was very, very good from my personal experience. And it was just a bunch of blokes sat on a table, and it was basically a music exercise, sort of going through, writing your thoughts down and talking about it and having a laugh, and also having serious conversations and opening up to each other, complete strangers, like. And afterwards, it was like, it felt very liberating.
Weight lifted off your shoulders.
Yeah. And knowing that these services are available, where you don't have to go on a waiting list and you don't have to pay 1,600 quid a session to speak to somebody, I think it's worthwhile knowing that that's there as well, for having those extra aspects to like helping with mental health.
Yeah, definitely that. Yeah.
But yeah, you mentioned about the story.
Yeah, I better not actually think about it. No, just to touch on a certain therapist being right for you. I think if you are going to seek out, in my opinion, seek out a therapist, be also willing to be patient.
Yeah.
And just like you see a personal trainer, I'm not saying a personal trainer is the same as a therapist, it's not. But they're most unlikely going to fix or help you within the first couple of sessions.
Oh, yeah.
Kind of long-term, realistic results. So be patient and understand that they've got to hear you out and get to know you. And yeah, I mean, I've only ever seen one therapist, who was a guy. I won't say his name. He likes to remain like quite anonymous. I saw him for a year, all the way through, like every week for a year. Changed the trajectory of my life, changed my perspective, completely stripped me down, changed me. And in the 7-8 years since I've seen him, I've completely changed everything, like my thought process, how I live, who I interact with, my circles, who I trust. Because before, I mean, I'm not going to go into it too much. Completely different before I met him, and he did an actual inventory of who am I, what do you do in these types of things. I initially reached out to him and he asked me, did I have X, Y, and Z problem, or how can I help you? And I was like, no, I'm fucking fine, you know. I just want to see you about this. And he was like, well, actually, this is actually what I think we should work on.
Yeah.
And it was so positive for me.
Well, I think as well, touching on the personal trainer point you're making there as well, it's like sometimes, like just like with anything, the therapist might not be the one appropriate for you. Just like there's no point going to a bodybuilding coach if you want to lose a bit of weight and sort of feel better about yourself. Whereas, sorry, not bodybuilding, like a bodybuilding prep coach, if you're wanting to sort of
certain different types of coaches.
And like you're not going to go to a coach who specialises in high performance athletes if you're wanting to, just maybe lose a little bit of weight for a holiday type of thing. You need to find the right one that's appropriate for you as well, haven't you?
Yeah, for sure. Just, having that patience.
Yeah. Because I say when I was going through the process of mine, it's a little story actually. I just remembered. So the first one put me through for a referral, and this was like the initial kind of like consultation call where it's like finding out a little bit about you, seeing what whether the service is appropriate for you, and then like put you onto the next sort of phase and get the referral sorted. First woman I spoke to went through everything, like really good sort of conversation, and she was like, at the end of the call, she was like, from the conversation we've had today, I've got to present sort of like the options of CBT or counselling to you, but like it sounds like counselling might be more suitable for you at this moment. And I was like, yeah, from what I understand, counselling is actually what I want to go for anyway. She was like, yeah, great, fantastic. Someone will be in touch with you, get your next appointment, and take it off from there. So then a few weeks later, I get the appointment booked and get on the appointment call. I hadn't had any information sent beforehand, so I didn't know what to expect. So I kind of rocked up into it, kind of going, oh, this will be my first sort of counselling session, like getting to chat to this person, figure it out, gets on the phone, and the guy's like, right, yeah, so let's go through the information. Starts asking the exact same questions that I'd had in the previous phone call a few weeks before. And I was like, sorry, mate, but like I was expecting something different for this call. I've already answered all these questions, and like all the information should be on the previous phone call or on the notes. And he sort of started talking and sort of going through and sort of being like, oh no, this is sort of like the next phase to sort of see if you're suitable for like counselling and the stage 2 stuff. And I was like, okay, cool. So I didn't know that. I didn't know what to expect. Normally I thought I would have got like an email or a letter through the post to be like, here's what to expect in your next phone call. And I was like, yeah, cool. I'll answer the questions. And this was for me, like, this was very highlighted for me, kind of going, I'll make sure that I've get the right therapist. Because then during this, I was given pretty much the same information that I was given in the first phone call, but the follow up and the leading, like the questions that were coming from it, there was none, pretty much. Like there was no diving deeper into kind of the things I was saying. Whereas the first phone call I had, little things, she'd be like, oh, could you just give me a bit more information about that, please, and just sort of start trying to unravel it, And there was none of that, and I was mentioning pretty much the exact same information, and we got about 40 minutes into the phone call. He's like, yeah, I don't think this service is going to be suitable for you. And I was like, hang on, mate. I said, I've just been referred to you for this purpose, and I'm giving you the same information. You've asked no follow-on questions. Like, how are you coming to this conclusion? And then he started, like, I got a little bit upset, to be honest with you. Wasn't angry, I wasn't giving him abuse, I was just kind of kept myself composed, but
frustrated.
I got frustrated and quite upset. And I said to the guy, I said, you have to apologise. I'm going to have to apologise, like, if I sound annoyed, but this isn't kind of my expectations. I haven't been met for what this was, and I didn't know what was going on. Anyways, the phone call ended, and no follow-up email, sort of like aftercare from the call or anything. And I was like, what's going on? So then I started ringing their office, sending emails, and kind of figure out what was happening. And about 4 or 5 hours later, I get a phone call from one of the managers, and they're like, just received your voicemail. Very concerning to me. I want to just sort of hear what's happened. Go through it all, and she's like, tell you what, I'll do an assessment with you now and see what's thinking. And I sort of went through everything, and she's like, yeah, I don't know why you were told that, like, counselling is appropriate for you. And I was like, I don't want to deal with that person again. Like, I work with anybody in the company, but this person, I don't want anything to do with it. And I had a few emails back and forth, and I was like, no, this person's broken my trust, and I've only had a fucking 40-minute conversation with them. The first person I spoke to,
Yeah.
I would have been ready to open up with. Anyways, a few weeks later, I had another phone call with another lady, and she was fantastic. And then, fortunately, when we had our first appointment, she took ill, so we didn't have the first appointment yet. But when we rescheduled, and I'm actually looking forward to going into it. But I'm also kind of a little bit worried and scared about what's gonna come to the surface and what's gonna happen from it.
Yeah, that's great, man. Thanks for sharing that, man. Yeah, I think it's great to discuss because a lot of us men don't really talk about these things.
No.
We ask each other, "Are you good? You all right?" And then we grunt back and forth to each other, and then we wrestle, and then we talk about jiu-jitsu at the end of the class, but we don't really talk about what's actually really going on.
No. I do find though sometimes having sort of that physical outlet, say like in whenever it is, and then being someone there with like someone that I trust and sort of can confide in, I find it easier to sort of talk and open up and sort of say what's going on.
Definitely, we do it a lot, don't we?
Yeah.
We do it a lot.
But
We're our own therapists.
oh, that's it. Like, and I think that's where people get wrong with the whole therapy, the sports therapy kind of thing. It's like, it's, if you're not doing the kind of work and having the conversations and doing the internal work around your sport, where it's kind of maybe facilitating you having those connections and relaxing and being able to open up, like, then sport won't contribute to any sort of therapy. But if you've kind of doing the internal work or done bits of internal work where you can then start to open up and talk with somebody and have your sort of thoughts and your sort of opinions challenged in a healthy manner,
Yeah.
then and if it's around the sport and around the connections that you've made within the sport, then I think sport can be seen as a form of therapy, provided that you're doing the extra work around it that where a therapist would normally help guide you through it.
So you meaning like if you're not confiding in people in your gym and you're just kind of trying to train through some stuff you got going on?
Yeah.
Do you mean don't just solo train? Don't just solo train and ignore talking to people.
Yeah. Like use that community that you've become part of, and if you trust them to fucking put you in a heel hook and not rip your knee off and fucking put their arm around your neck and not put you to sleep, there's going to be some element of trust there where you can confide with them to some degree. Like, you don't have to open your heart up and pour your heart out, but if there's a few little problems going on that you think, oh, this person might have a perspective on this, then it's always worthwhile, in my opinion, talking, whether it's after the session, maybe just after the round, or giving somebody a ring after on the way home from training.
It's hard. It's a fine line because some people, well, a lot of people might not, know how to bring it up.
Yeah.
Or they might not have the confidence to bring it up. Especially in today's world, nothing's private.
No.
To have a friend, like a true friend that, like I value you, you say things to them and it's confidential.
Yeah.
You see friends as like a brother. That's rare these days.
Yeah.
So, if you are listening, me and Si at the club are them people.
Always.
If you've got something on your mind that you're struggling with outside of training, come speak to us, and we'll 100% keep it confidential.
100%.
And that's what I struggled with in the past, was being in groups, whether it be past gyms I've trained at, whether it be workplaces. I think it's really important to have that trust and know that what you say stays where it stays.
Yeah.
Because if it starts becoming Chinese whispers, that can really affect a person's well-being. So yeah, if you're listening and you're at Hive, just know that you can reach out to us.
Yeah. Always.
And it's not going to be passed around the gym or WhatsApp groups or.
That's it. It's something that I'm like I say, we all say to each other, like, because I say I look at you like a brother as well, where it's I can trust you to trust your opinion, and I trust you to give me honest feedback. Like I say, might not always agree with those opinions, but it's delivered in a way where it's kind of like going after the conversation might go back and like, well, actually that makes sense.
And we don't shoot each other down.
No.
You know, sometimes I come to you with things I'm struggling with, and you do to me, but we don't act like a therapist.
No.
We actually like say we listen, and then if one of us wants the feedback, we give the feedback. If we don't, we read it and just listen.
That's it. And it's something that I'll always say to anyone in here. It's like, if you just want to just shoot the shit and just go for a walk, grab a coffee, drop me a message, and I'll do what I can to be there.
Yeah. And if you need that professional help, we'll put you in the right direction. We're not your therapist, but we're definitely there for you as friends if you need to chat.
No, 100%. Like I say, just because I mentioned them a couple of times, like I'm part of the I'm in the Mandem meetup group chat as well, and they have things every week as well, like every night. The reason that I've not been to like Andy's Man Club is just the nights and the timings doesn't work for me. Whereas like the Mandem meetup, they have things pretty much every single night, and I'd highly recommend getting to any of those groups as well, where sometimes it's easier to speak to strangers. Like,
yeah, definitely,
because
nobody knows you.
Yeah, they don't know you. It's less likely to circle back around and reach back into your social circles, or if you don't want it to. And there's the people that are turning up to those places as well. They're all there for a common cause. They're all there for the camaraderie, and they're going through their own struggles. And sometimes helping others with their struggles kind of helps give you perspective on your own, and can help you actually deal and process your own stuff, so then you can verbalize it in a much better way, to then speak about it easier as well.
Yeah, and you know, to get extreme, suffering in silence is legit. That's literally what is going on right now with men.
Yeah.
You know, across the planet, in all countries. Literally, there's men all over that. I've experienced it myself, unfortunately, where I've seen someone every day and I've had like a close relationship with them, and they took their own life, just like that. And just talk to us, man, if things are going on, because we don't know. Like, if you're quite a quiet person and you're quite reserved, we can't drag it out of you.
No.
And you're also not being a burden by sharing that, which is really important to hear.
I think when people feel like they're being a burden on others by sharing their problems, I don't think they realise the relationships and the connections that they've got around them. Because in my perspective, it's not a burden. Like, I will hear those. For a friend, I will listen to those problems every single fucking day till they feel better about it. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm also going to encourage them to take action. So, like, if they're coming to me every day saying the job's making them feel shit and they don't like it, I'm going to encourage them to take action to change it. Whether that's to work on their own work-life balance, or whether that's to change the jobs if it's possible, or find some sort of solution that's going to fit for them. Because that's part of the solution as well, is taking action on the things that are making you feel a certain way.
Yeah, definitely. I agree.
Yeah. One thing we mentioned as well is, like, I think we've touched on it a few times as well, is like the unhealthy relationship with like mental health and sport, and like say those who are sort of suffer in silence will kind of use sport as an escape, as opposed to as like a tool of kind of like healing themselves. I know I've certainly done it in the past, whether it's going through breakups, whether it's going through dealing with family stuff, whether it's going like even dealing with fucking stress at uni, like I just use a sport as an escape. I turn up, come in, get that euphoric feeling, get the feeling of being with everybody, have a good laugh and whatnot. Problems forgotten about for 2-3 hours that I'm there. But then as soon as I leave the gym, those problems return, because I'm using it as an escape rather than using it as a tool to help facilitate what I'm doing.
Yeah, and just to touch on that and follow on, being aware of why you're training like 6-7 days a week.
Yeah.
Why are you doing double sessions a day? Has that become an addiction? That some people will be like, yeah, but you're training every day, and that's what I want to do, and that's good for me. Great, crack on if that's good for you. But some of us are addicts, and if we've quit the Red Bull, or we've quit drinking, or they've quit the Coke, then all of a sudden they're training 3 times a day, and that's their next addiction. And they don't know it, and next thing they're getting lost in that, and then they're back on the Red Bulls. They're not sleeping, and then they're back in that cycle. They're just, they can hide it.
Yeah. And thing is, it's only going to be heading for so long until the cracks start showing.
Yeah.
And it's when, that's when you start to, say, go back to the old habits, because you're no longer getting that fulfillment from the new kind of thing that you've thrown yourself into, instead of addressing the actual underlying issues that are there, whether you know them or not. Like, if you don't know them, then it's highly advisable to seek professional advice, seek professional help.
Yeah, and this is not for people, like, if you train every day and you're happy training twice a day, this is not what we're talking about.
Oh, no.
We're talking about people that, are doing it to mask actual issues, like that might be feeling really low, like super low. They might be depressed and have severe anxiety, but they come to the gym to mask that, and then they go back, get in bed and scrolling on the phone all day, and their life's an absolute mess outside of training that nobody knows about. It's kind of uncontrollable. And then they put the gear on, come to training, and they put this character.
Yeah.
And that's something I used to do in other work environments. Put a character, put a mask on, and then, there's only so long keep that mask going until you burn out.
It's exhausting.
Yeah.
And that burnout that you hit can be devastating.
Yeah.
Like, I've had it before. I've hit burnout before from doing this exact stuff. I don't remember the situation that I was trying to run from. But yeah, I remember the time when it was a fresh PT. So I was trying to get clients, being on the gym floor for stupid hours, starting at 6 a.m. and then going through, leaving at about 5 p.m. to then get to the gym, train between 6 and 9, getting home for 10, not sleeping till 11, half 11 because I'm still buzzing, getting up at 5, half 5 the next morning again to just do the whole same thing again. And I think that lasted about 4 or 5 weeks. And then I woke up one morning after my alarm went off, so it might have been about 9 o'clock, and my head felt swollen. My face just felt like something was just hitting me constantly.
Yeah.
Body, physically, no strength. Sore throat, fucking nose was streaming, fatigue like I've never had it before. And I ended up being bedridden for, not bedridden, but fucking couldn't get out of bed for a fucking 4 or 5 days. And I'd take a week off work. And that scared me. And that I didn't address the issue at the time. I think might have been something to do, I might have been something to do with my studies and then family illnesses. So I was just kind of putting everything in boxes and running away from it. But during that week, the sport was taken off me. My day-to-day was taken away from me. And I didn't realise how much I was relying on that to kind of keep my sanity a little bit and just keep myself pushing forward.
In an unhealthy way.
In an unhealthy way, yeah.
After work, I'm going straight there and not thinking about how I am.
Yeah.
Getting on the mat.
Just focusing purely on getting to training. Yeah. And it was that week in bed where I was kind of going, okay, first few days was a bit like, look, I'm just feeling sorry for myself. And then that third, fourth day, I was like, I can't do this again. I need to fucking add more structure, figure my shit out, and actually get shit done that needed to be done so this doesn't occur again.
Yeah.
And I say it wasn't the first time, and it certainly wasn't the last time, and probably won't be the last time. I can see it probably will occur some point in the future. I'm just hoping now that I'm in a position where I recognise it a bit better now. So I can maybe slow down when when I notice things happening, and speak to the people around me as well.
Yeah.
Like, because we regularly sort of check in on each other and sort of see how we're doing. Like Robbie and Nath, I speak to them regularly as well and sort of check in with them, and just being there to like just being more aware and present in what I'm doing and how I'm feeling now to minimise the effects of that.
Have you heard that quote from Jim Carrey about depression? What he
No.
says? So he says depression's deep rest from the character you're trying to play. That's what he believes that it is.
Quite a profound way to look at that.
Yeah, and I heard that quite a few years ago. That really resonated with me. That burnout and like being worn down is from just something that's not aligned with you.
Yeah.
In a certain aspect of your life. I think what the story you brought up there is a lot more common than what people realise.
Yeah.
I've seen it in the gym so many times. 7 o'clock at night and lads are drinking Monsters. And they're working 40 hours a week.
Yeah.
Like, mate, what are you doing? That is a car crash waiting to happen.
Yeah.
Have a think about why you're doing certain behaviours. Because if you're trying to live like a professional while you've got a full-time job and you're putting all this energy into grappling, at what cost?
Yeah.
You're very unlikely going to be a professional grappler. Sorry to piss on your fighter, but if you're working 40 hours a week and you're drinking Monsters at 8 o'clock at night, your sleep's fucked.
Yeah.
Your mental health's going to suffer because you're not sleeping properly, and that cycle is just, and then you burn out.
Yeah.
You're trying to do something that you can't do, you can't sustain.
It's like they say as well when your sleep tends to be the first thing to go. I know with me personally anyway, it's the first thing that I tend to recognise of when things are just not right. Sleep starts to go, and then my food is the next thing because I'm not sleeping well. I'm waking up late the next morning, or I'm just waking up feeling shit, and then I'm less attentive and making not as good decisions when it comes to like meals. So I'm grabbing quick, convenient things, living on coffee, chasing like sweet things just because I'm tired. I'm kind of wanting that sugar, and then from there, other things then start to fall apart just from having that one cornerstone like affected.
Yeah. And also you might not even know that your batteries are flat. Like I can see it in people when I ask them, how you doing? Or, hey, and they're like, yeah, I'm good. And they're like, I can see that they're flat, but they probably shouldn't be at training.
Yeah.
I never then say, hey, you look fucking really tired. What's going on?
Yeah.
Because I don't want to say that, but have a check in with yourself and see where your fuel gauge is throughout the day. If you're training like 4 or 5 nights a week and your fuel gauge rationally is like 20%, 10%, probably don't drink a Monster and spar for 3 hours.
I'd even say as well, like, get used to being honest when people ask that question. Are you okay?
Yeah.
If you're not, just say it.
Just say I'm fucking struggling, man. I don't want to be here or shit.
That's perfectly fine. And then, because then sometimes you might want to talk about it. Sometimes you might be like, feeling shit, not in a good place, don't really want to talk. I just want to get in tonight and just sort of forget about it.
Yeah.
We'll respect that.
Yeah.
But also as well, if you after a few rounds and you've got a bit of a warm sweat on and you're kind of going, no, actually, I won't mind talking about it. Just prop up against the wall with us and have a chat.
Yeah. One of my favourite things to say when people ask, they always say, how you doing? Which a lot of times they don't want to listen to how you are.
Yeah.
They just expect a good and move on. And then they say, have you been busy?
Yeah.
I always say, no, I've not. Just to make them jolt and go, oh, why are things not going well? And I say, yeah, they're going well. I'm choosing not to be busy.
Yeah.
That's not a goal to be busy and frantic and working all the time.
No.
And it puts a lot of people on the back foot.
So I think busy is not always good.
No.
Like, you get a lot of busy idiots who are, again, doing just as what we've just been talking about, keeping them busy to keep their minds preoccupied, to not address any underlying issues. And I say it's just gets to an unhealthy thing. And
where's it going?
Yeah,
more money. Can't take it with you.
But what's the money gonna get you as well? Like, because for me, one of the really big like revolutionary things that I've discovered about myself over the past few years is I prioritize freedom, and not in the sense of like kind of
being a hippie
and that. No, it's living life to my own terms, having like my boundaries and setting them. Because I've been in situations where I haven't set boundaries. I've been in, and that's got me into a really, really, really low place. Like a few members of the gym will probably recognise when I hit that point as well.
Working too much.
Bad relationship and not setting boundaries. And I allowed it to let me get to a bad place, and it's kind of, I can't remember what I was talking about there, but like sort of having those sort of things there really kind of revolutionary thing, and like having those boundaries and sort of having the freedom to live life on my own terms, judgment free, is something that I strive for. And if that means that I have a 2 hour nap in the afternoon because I'm up early, done a bit of work, and then I've got the afternoon free before I come in here, that's great because that's on my terms.
Yeah.
If that means not booking early morning PT sessions because I want to lie in, then like, as long as I account for my day and I account for my actions and everything's in order, I'm living life to my own terms.
Yeah.
Whereas I think a lot of people live life to impress others or live their life on other people's terms, and they're constantly trying to please others without thinking about like themselves and what they're doing things for.
Oh, definitely. We can talk all day about that, couldn't we?
Yeah.
Not living life on their own terms and in accordance with what works for them. Like in terms of the mental health that we've discussed, like what outside of belts in jiu-jitsu and submissions and winning competitions and the club, like not only your goals with grappling, but in terms of wrapping it into your life, like what does it all mean to you?
For me, it's going to sound fucking very cliche and fucking woohoo and hippie type
Doesn't
thing,
matter,
but
mate.
like, I want to be remembered for having a positive impact. So like, I want to help others the way that I've been helped. I want to kind of be there for others the way that like I've had coaches be there for me, I've had teammates be there for me. I kind of want to build this community of like-minded people, which I think we've done a fucking mint job so far with the club. And
I was going to say that you're doing exactly that.
Yeah. And I want the kind of the benefits that I've been getting from grappling, like the community, the friendships, the travel, the experiences, the ups and the downs. Like, I want to share them with everybody, and I want to be able to facilitate others having their own journey and their own experiences. And like, I just want to be remembered for caring, to be honest.
You definitely do, mate. You definitely do.
And that for me, that is my kind of life goal. Like, I'm not really motivated financially. I'm very people motivated, and I'm also very freedom motivated. And I think the more freedom that I can give myself gives me the more ability to then help others. And where I'm at that point now is I feel like I'm just starting. Like, I don't want to rush into kind of these goals and kind of do them haphazardly a little bit. I want to be able to do them like properly and have the proper impact. And reach the right people. So like, there's one person that I look up to with things like is the guys like Tom DeBlas, where I don't always agree with everything that he puts out there, but the fact that he'll stand on his morals and he will defend those who can't defend themselves, and he just seems to be trying to put out positive messages all the time, and like down to like things like his bullying, like anti-bullying stuff as well, like because I was bullied as a teenager in high school, and it's something that really resonates with me, and I'm like, that's eventually something where I'd love to then be able to maybe help other young people who are in that situation as well.
Yeah.
Because I know that I still had the issues of being bullied through my early 20s, but competing, doing MMA, grappling, being around good people from all walks of life really helped me kind of get over that and kind of like fuck you to that bully, basically.
Yeah.
And eventually, like, 'cause, like we are going to build a teens program here, and I want to be able to sort of like help kids who are in that situation again.
Like an anti-bullying program.
It wouldn't necessarily be like an anti-bullying program, but maybe like some sort of scholarship where if they're recognised by the school that they're being vulnerable or something, then being like, well, we've got this set up, come down, and everything's going to be sorted for you.
Yeah.
So I remember it from back in the day in school where it was always the misbehaving kids, the kids who were doing the bullying, the bad kids who would get the special treatment, they'd get taken out of classes, they'd get taken on certain trips, just so they'd comply and take part in school. But then the ones who were being bullied, the ones who were performing well, the ones who were getting forgotten about and left behind, were getting forgotten about and left behind.
Yeah.
And it's a real shame because it's not the naughty kids, bad kids' fault that they've in that situation.
No, life experience.
Life experience, yeah.
Where they are. Yeah.
It's like you can't blame them, and I think it's great the schools are doing what they can to help them, but you can't do that at the expense of the other children there. And like there needs to be rewards, or some not rewards, but some sort of benefits to doing well. There needs to be some sort of benefits to taking part and applying yourself. And there also needs to be more support and help for the kids who are vulnerable, who aren't taking their emotions out on other kids, the ones who are being victimised.
I mean, imagine if every school had grappling.
Yeah.
Just judo, Greco-Roman wrestling, jiu-jitsu. It'd be a different world that we're living in.
100%. Like, if every kid could defend themselves, have the confidence to defend themselves, I think everybody would communicate very differently. And it probably would, like, fucking, I'll probably get shot in the comments for this, but like, it'd probably be a reduction in like knife crime and gang activity and like all these other kind of things that are harming young people at the moment. If there was more interventions like put in place within the schools that were actually like sport based, community based, and something for them to work towards, not just get a quick fix of dopamine and then they can fuck off and go back to what they're doing.
Yeah, that's amazing, mate. Thanks for sharing that.
What about yourself?
It's quite similar. Having that positive impact on people. It's my goals of why I grapple and kind of why I live the lifestyle that I do is to create a legacy, like a family legacy, with my last name that's personal to me. Anyone that knows me knows I'm obsessed with Khabib, and like that whole kind of Dagestan kind of culture and taking over the UFC, because it resonates a lot with me. Because my father got me into sports at a very young age. He forced me into sport, forced me into training when I was like 5 or 6. Still remember the discussion like it was yesterday. I got to like 5 or 6, and my brother, who's 5 years older, was playing rugby at the time, and he said to me, "I'm going to take you down and we're going to have a look at some sports, and you're going to pick one, and then you're going to do it." He didn't ask if I wanted to do it. He said, you're just going to see which one you like, and then you're going to pursue it. You're not going to give up. And like, at that time, I didn't feel like I could say, well, I don't really want to do it. I just kind of went with it. Changed my life, you know. So I ended up going down the rugby route. And then in my teenage years, I got introduced to wrestling in a weightlifting gym by my uncle, who kind of introduced me to the gym owner, and that's how I started kind of getting into grappling alongside the rugby. And then that kind of family kind of legacy into training kind of lit a fire under me that my dad had passed on the torch to me, and that my future wife and kids will create that legacy again. That when I have kids, I'd like to take him down to wrestling and just carry on that positive seed. Not for anyone else, not for people to know my name or anything like that. I'm not interested in that one bit. Just to have my own legacy in grappling, so that, you know, my kids are grappling, the useful members of society. Their kids are the same, their kids, and kind of it goes through the generations, and all of a sudden there's a group of Malays that have cauliflower ears, and they've got their own chain of gyms around, and you go to the Malay gym and you know what you're going to get. You're going to get freestyle wrestling, you're going to get submission grappling.
100%. No, that's for sure.
Along those lines,
Oh, nice.
Yeah. Another good one, mate.
Sharing all that, mate. Yeah, cool. Appreciate it, man.